Hello, everyone. I'm Jason Tokarski.
And I'm Megan McGurman. Welcome to the first special live edition of the For the Love of Health podcast. We're 3 weeks into 2026. It's time to talk about those resolutions. Is it a new year, new you? Are you struggling a little bit? We want to help.
And whether that resolution was eating better, exercising more, or getting some of that new equipment that might help you meet some of those goals, we want to talk about it and put it into the right perspective so that you know that it's something that's actually going to help you meet those goals.
So today we've brought two of our primary care experts to answer your questions. Dr. Theresa Metanchuck, Dr. Bridget Peters joining us today. Thank you both so much for being here.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having us.
If you have questions, we want to hear from you. So we have our computer here. We are keeping track of our live stream. Anything is on the table today. Submit those questions about that holiday present that you got, about that resolution you're trying to keep. And Theresa and Bridget are here to help answer those questions.
Yes.
We're going to start with one that we got about specifically vitamins and minerals. A lot of people are saying, I'm taking a lot of supplements, or should I be taking a lot of supplements? You know, those aisles in stores are full of everything that you could think of. What should and should we not be taking?
Yeah, I think that's a good question to start off with. I think when people start thinking about dieting and exercise, they go to, oh my gosh, I need to add more. And so the word supplement is what we should be actually cluing into. It is a supplement. It does not replace our normal like dietary intake. And that's the great part about that we eat a balanced diet. And so we should be focusing more so on what do we need a little bit help with in our body. And so you can get it a lot from your diet. Is that what I tell my patients, Theresa? Yeah.
Absolutely. So, our bodies have been digesting food since we've been humans, right? So it is really good about pulling out the good stuff. And so we really should be focusing on that. We should be really optimizing what we need in our diet, what we need in our day to day, those healthy greens, the fibers, the mineral heavy foods. And then from that, what might we need to add into it? And that's where that supplement focus really comes into play. And so when we think about that, we really start thinking about what special populations might need a little extra supplements.
So when I think of that, you saying that some people who may have had like gastric bypass surgery, you may need that extra because your body no longer has some of the tools that our body naturally has to actually break some of the foods down. So you may need that in that population. We were talking earlier in one of the other populations of women who have some anemia. So iron supplementation would be a great one to add. That those are the things you kind of need extra that maybe your diet just isn't giving you all that you need.
Right. And sometimes we supplement the supplement,
Yes.
right? So with irons, and sometimes we add the vitamin C that helps us to absorb it a little bit better. And so, it's really important to talk to your primary. Shameless plug.
You should come
Go
to your
see your
primary
primary.
doctor.
Because they can help you navigate a lot of that. But, supplements really, we need to be focused on what are you using it for and what can't you get out of your diet for that need.
We're going to stick on diet. We got another question from Angie asking, how much protein do people really need? There's protein powders, added protein seems to be in a lot of food these days. So where are we at on protein?
Yeah, so I think sometimes we can hyper focus on, oh my gosh, we need 9 grams of protein and we need this, and we have to count those number of grams in every food. But to your point, Megan, we have protein in a lot of things. So one, I stick back to like if you eat a balanced diet, you're going to get your protein there. And then some of the things we don't even realize. So a lot of patients will come and say, oh my gosh, I'm doing these booster and shores. Those actually have protein in them too. So now you're getting maybe over the protein amount. And we have to also focus on the body uses every type of food group. So not that protein isn't important, but don't forget your fats. You actually need fats.
And carbs.
Carbs.
Right?
Your brain actually uses that to actually function.
Yes.
So you need all those things. So I think maybe if when I tell my patients, I say, do not focus hyper on like 9 grams. I really need to get that in, but focusing on the fact that you have all the food groups in.
Yeah. And that's a really good point about just balancing everything out, right? So protein is important. And I think, when we flipped the food pyramid earlier, we focused a lot on the protein. And so I think it brought up the forefront for a lot of people, what really should I be doing? So 9 grams is kind of where I ask people to really focus. But it is also January and we're setting resolutions. And now we're at the gym. And what do I need to do because I'm going to the gym a little bit more, right? And do I need extra protein to help build that muscle? Well, I don't know. What is your plan at the gym,
Yes.
right?
So yeah, what are your actual goals? Like
Right.
weight loss, or is it to build muscle mass? So you have to
Correct.
really tailor it to individualized care.
Right, right. And so it's not always a one size fits all. Very rarely in medicine is it a one size fits all.
Yeah.
We call it an art for a reason.
Yes.
We all
We-
paint a different
yes.
picture, right? And it's okay, but it's sometimes really helpful to paint that picture with your primary so that they can really help guide you on what is the
Like
right
necessary.
the right steps for you.
Let's stick on resolutions this time of year and what you're putting into your body. There are probably quite a few people watching and listening who did the dry January promise for themselves.
Still going. It's the
It's still
22nd.
Right. Still going, still going. Is I obviously we know that that's going to be in general a good thing, but should they be getting, right back to their glass of wine on February 1st? And is this really doing that much good for them if they're already thinking, I've got 10 more days to go?
I will say if you're already thinking you have 10 more days to go, there might be a deeper problem.
Fair.
Fair.
Right? But at the same time, we do know that there is a healthy amount of consumption of alcohol, wine, or whatever your indulgence is, and it does help to balance some people. But I think dry January is a great way to help us reset. We go through Thanksgiving, through Christmas, through New Year's, all of these family gatherings. It's cold, so we're inside, indoors. And what do we do indoors? We eat, we drink, and we have some fun with company, right? But dry January is a great way to reset how we're really evaluating what we're indulging in. Alcohol is one of them. And then when it comes to February 1st, it's not great. I can get right back into it. It's really like a great, what do I see myself doing for the rest of the 11 months of the year? And how do I want my health to be impacted by my choices that start January or February 1st? Right?
And I totally agree. I would actually add too that it's a good way to not only reset for the focus of alcohol consumption itself, but then resetting mentally. So, like you said, mapping out the rest of your year. So, does that look like less alcohol? Does that look like less food and what food choices I am making? So, I think it's building that true resolution. We always say it takes a certain number of days to build a habit. So, it's really building those healthy habits because things don't start just in one day.
Right. Yeah. And it's not just one day that they start it for you anyway,
Yeah.
right? And we're not abolishing it in 30 days, but we're really just resetting where we plan to go for the rest of the year. That's what I think we should really be working on in dry January.
What about resetting exercise? There are some people who hit the ground running on Jan 1. The gyms are very crowded. Everyone remembered they have that membership they hadn't been using. But again, I think, we're on that third week of January. Some people are going to get a big snowstorm this weekend. You miss a few days. What is that recommendation of how much exercise we should be getting per week?
Yeah, so if you really do a summation, you'll see literature say 150 minutes of exercise, and you can space that out. The beautiful thing about, the gym is wonderful. I'm a member of a gym. I think it's an excellent way if you need that extra motivation. But I think it's realizing and saying what is, best for you as an individual. So like you said, this weekend we might get snowmageddon and we might be stuck. But the beautiful thing is we have YouTube, which, we can do videos. We have certain programs that will have it and you can just stream yoga. There's all types of ways to move. So when we say that, yes, it's vigorous exercise, but I think the goal is setting a goal is movement.
Right. I agree. I very rarely actually use the word exercise and use the word activity when I talk to people, patients, because that's what I want people to focus on. What activity are we doing for 150 minutes a week? That's 30 minutes, 5 days a week, or 150. That's the American Cardiology Association. That's what their recommendation is. But it does really depend on what your goals are too and how your lifestyle fits into that. So for example, if I have somebody who's over the age of 65, I want those 150 minutes to be a combination of a little bit cardiovascular and a little bit of strength training, right? Because a lot of research shows that strength training helps decrease the risk of falls and fractures, right? And it strengthens our bones. So my focus there is going to be a little bit different. But then I might have somebody who's 19 who's working to get onto their college swim team. I might be focusing on a whole different program for that person, right? And then it becomes really who is the right person to help you focus on that program too. Is athletic trainers a good source to go to and such? So there really is a lot to be said about making sure that the activity you're choosing is the activity for your plan, for your goals that are that you're setting now in January for the rest of the year, and how to best achieve it. Gyms are crazy. They're busy. My husband complains because he doesn't like as many people. So when they're
He doesn't
busy,
like January.
Yeah.
it's great. But it really it does drop off. You
It
know,
does.
the later
Because
you
you don't
go.
goal set, and
Right.
you don't set realistic expectations, and so I think that is what then creates you to feel like that, the bad F word, failure,
Right.
which you're truly not. You're human,
Right. Yeah.
and we
you're
all need to build habits, and if you're not
right.
building those healthy habits, that's when we start to decrease those good ones.
Right. Yeah. Realistic goal setting.
Yeah.
It's great.
We do have a specific question about 10,000 steps. Where are we with that? Is that still the recommendation?
So it's not really in favor. It's been shown that 10,000 is great. However, to the point, if you're doing other things and depending on what the activity is, you can reach those same achieved goals with less. And so the threshold, I think we love as humans to have a number like, oh, let's reach this. But once again, it's patient or person dependent. And so what if you reach 7,000, but in those 7,000s, you were hiking? And
Right.
like, what if you were doing some vigorous activity and you burned the same amount of calories that you did if you had walked 10,000 miles?
Yeah, I agree. So 10,000 steps, it's not a bad goal, but is it getting you to your goal, right?
Mhm.
What is your goal that you're setting that you want to be able to accomplish and to be able to do? And what is the right path to get there? And 10,000 steps, it might not be that right path. And again, my thing with the 10,000 steps is it only focuses on steps. I love strength training. I really do feel that there's so much benefit to being strength trained. And 10,000 steps doesn't get us that extra strength training, but it is a great way to start. So if you're looking to kickstart something, go for it.
Yeah.
Kickstart with 10,000 steps. And we add a little sprinkle of everything else after.
Now, what about all those ads that regularly, or at least for me, are regularly popping up in my socials for here's your 30-day ab buster challenge or 30-day weight loss challenge? Given that, they're 30 days and people are like, okay, 30 days and done. Are those actually worth it to you if you're not going to say, and then use it as a door into something else?
That's
That's
great.
key. Yes.
Yeah.
Good job, Jason. Keep that door open.
Down. So use it as that door. I think all of these are so wonderful in building those habits. And so whether it's like the, marketing, like do this that's what gyms do, right? They suck you in and they say, do this challenge for 30 days and join us and you will definitely, hit your mark. And so I think having not maybe the mark happening right after those 30 days, but say, oh, maybe I should say after 120 days, I'll start seeing
Right.
results.
Yes.
So if I had to say, that's the one thing I don't like about them because they're not realistic in maybe where you're going to truly see your goals, but they do have a point of like starting somewhere.
Right. They do start you, but I agree. Like, what does it happen on day 31? Do you stop? Do you keep going? And
Do
that's
the exact same thing that was on day 30 for the rest of your life.
I got my, six pack, but now where am I going with it? Right. And so it kind of also couples a little bit with like the way we set goals in January and even talking about dry January. What happens on February 1st? It's a similar thing. What happens when 30 days are up?
Right.
And it is a great way to open the door. And again, if it fits your focus, wonderful. If that's an area, core strength and stability, that's what you want to really focus on. 30-day ab buster, start it out, go for it.
Yeah.
But if that's not where you want to focus because you booked a trip to Mount Kilimanjaro in August, it's not going
gonna
to be as helpful. So
not at all.
it's this long-term plan that it's really hard to get people to focus on the long-term plan. And truthfully, I think most of our questions, that's where we've taken it is what's your long-term plan? And that's really what we really want focus is trying to get past the 30 days, but look through that to like the next 12 months. And what does that look like for you? Because that sets up what these 30 days do.
So Jason has the ab busters. I have the cortisol TikTok. I am on the you were all too stressed. And if you drank something, it would fix your cortisol levels and you would be skinny and thriving and you wouldn't yell at your kids and you wouldn't have a bloated face.
Yeah.
Help me.
So-
Where are we at here?
And now you're in dry January.
And the cortisol is even higher, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So some of what we see in social media is true. They have nuggets to them. So yes, with stress comes elevated cortisol levels. The idea behind that is like something I'm pretty sure is buzzing toxic stress, right? These levels. So I want to maybe this is a disclaimer. Stress is actually good for the body. We do
Hot
have
take.
good.
Hot take. Bridget.
We do have good stress. And so the problem is when we tip over into that bad stress or the stress that's nonstop, and that's where you see the high cortisol levels. So I would argue that it's not just drinking something that's going to lower that. I would argue what I talk to my patients about a lot, and we have this integrated in my office, behavioral health, finding what's the root of that stress, whether that stress is a job or that you have some depression or anxiety. So, once again, maybe it's not thought about, but all of this diet, exercise, weight loss, sleep, it actually all goes together. And so none of it's going to work. And so if you're such at a high stress level, yes, you're never going to get it. So the good thing about the reason cortisol level, it actually raises like your sugar in your body because it's almost sending your body into this adrenaline rush. So you can kind of go into action for whatever you're stressed for. So we try to bring those down by saying like, why is your body always in such a high level? So
Yeah, and the other thing too is just because we're talking about high cortisol levels, it doesn't necessarily equate to a high blood cortisol level
Yes.
either. So what I often get is people coming in saying, "I need my cortisol checked." And I go, "Well, okay, let's take 3 steps back and say, what's going on in life that you feeling so stressed that you feel you need your cortisol checked?" And just because you might be really under a lot of stress, a blood test may still be normal and is not going to prove, so to speak, that you're under a lot of stress and your cortisol is high. So it really just comes down to the root. How are we managing stress? What are we doing to make sure that the stress that we have to endure in life, because it's for everyone, stress happens regardless of where you are in your life cycle. How are we managing it? And what are we doing to be able to do that in a healthy way, right? So to Bridget's point, getting down to the root cause, what is it? And what can you make changes on? What can't you make changes on? Do we need behavioral health to help us work through some of that?
Yeah.
Because I love my therapists that we have throughout the offices, and so do my patients.
Yeah.
It's a huge benefit. And that helps to bring down cortisol in a natural way by understanding how your body is reacting to your stressors. And then
Yeah.
you can really work with yourself to be able to bring those down more naturally. Drinks, I really haven't seen them make too much of a benefit.
Yeah.
And so I don't usually encourage that because I do think there's a lot more behind it. And as
Yeah.
Americans, we are so fascinated with the quick fix.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like the
It's not.
microwave era. We want it to pop in the microwave and then it automatically.
Hit 30 seconds.
Yes.
Yeah.
and it's
Exactly.
good.
Pop
Yeah.
back. Yep.
It's not your quick fix. There's no quick fix to stress because stress changes, right? I got 3 dogs. I didn't know I was getting 3 dogs.
That's stress.
There's stress. Yeah. So how do I adjust to that? How do we change with that? That's something that we really have to focus on, but that doesn't come from a drink to bring that down. And it's not reflected in a blood work that shows that we have that. It's really how are we feeling? And then the way our body is reacting to
Into
that,
it,
the
yeah.
lack of sleep, the overindulging in eating, the fatigability because of all of that stuff building up. That's what's more important.
You mentioned blood work that transitions perfectly into a pre-submitted question we got from
I
Andrew.
was just going to compliment you. That was a beautiful segue right there. Yeah,
welcome.
awesome. Yeah, and Andrew wanted to know about those blood tests or lab panels. We know we get the ones that when we see our primary care, that they're going to request these routine ones, checking your cholesterol and such and so on. But are there anything beyond that that somebody should ask for that they want to be seeing? And specifically, Andrew asked about ApoB.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
ApoB.
Yeah. So, that's not one of the ones I typically do. I do it for a certain population and like risk stratification. It is a more specific test to help to look for any risk of cardiovascular disease. And so once again, this is where you come to your primary care doctor and we assess and look at why do you need this? What is it? So to the point of, I know like some of the labs out there, like order your labs, we'll come to your house. I think it really is important to understand why we're doing these tests and
Right.
who is it most, who does it benefit? Because we can get a number and to the point, it may not actually risk stratify you to what you need to see.
Yeah. So ApoB, it's a part of our cholesterol screening. And cholesterol screening is what we recommend as primary cares
routinely.
right? Routine, and even as pediatricians,
Yes.
routinely, right? So this is part of your ongoing blood work. But ApoB isn't necessarily in the panel that gets checked on a routine basis for our cholesterol, and our lipid panel is what we call that. So it is an add-on test. You do have to specifically choose an ApoB, at least with most primary cares, right? If you're seeing a cardiologist or a lipidologist, that may
That's
be a very
standard,
different,
yeah.
right? But in the primary care setting, when you're of average health and you're going in for your routine physical and you don't take any medications and you're just looking to be healthier or the healthiest version of you that you can be, do you need an ApoB? The answer is, I don't know, because it depends on so many variables and it
Mhm.
is very much person dependent. And so that's where it really does help to talk to your primary. Do you have a really strong family history? When did that family history start? What is your healthy eating habits? Are they healthy? Are they not?
Good question.
What is your activity?
Fair.
Is it healthy? Is it not? Right? So that's, but we have to talk that through to see, is ApoB something we should add on? But it's not just ApoB. I get questions on all sorts of blood tests to add on. Hormone levels is a
Yes,
big hot
hormone levels.
topic.
is a
Yeah, we're
huge
gonna ask you about that
topic.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's in your TikTok
It
feed.
sure is.
Probably in your TikTok feed.
Yes,
it
That's
is.
right.
Yeah.
And once again, I would agree. I think all of these, though, are very person specific. I know that people are like, can you scan me from my head to my toe? And that's another big one.
The
of like, that-
Kardashians are
I-
doing it.
definitely- and so I think this is where we continue to, go back to it's person dependent. So don't go to your primary, like, I know you're going to say no. That's actually not always the answer.
No.
I have patients who may not be in the age category, or if you just look at them on paper, like, oh, they're at a higher risk. But once you have that discussion about family history, what you're actually doing, what was your childhood history? That's actually also very important. Did something happen to you? Are you on other special medications
Right.
that may elevate these things? And so the answer may not be no, but the answer, I think it warrants a discussion.
Correct. Yeah. And hormones change, right?
Yeah.
They are supposed to
To
change.
They're supposed to fluctuate.
And it's not always fun, but it is the natural process of
Yeah.
things, and it's okay. But it's helpful to have that conversation so that we know, what prompts you to ask the questions. Was it just because you saw it in TikTok or read it in a book and you think that this
Or
might
you
be
having
helpful?
symptoms.
Or are you having symptoms? Because if you're having symptoms, there might be meaningful action that we take from it. So we don't really like to do tests without knowing what we're going to do with the results of the test.
Mhm.
And that's not just for us as providers, but that should also be for the patient too. So, okay, you want a full body scan. What are we going to do with the results if
Yeah.
it's negative?
Yes.
Where does it go from there, right? And so these are the questions that we need to ask as providers. And we are very used to asking that because that's what 90% of our schooling was,
Yeah.
right? But as a patient,
Like, what's next?
right, that's not something that you're thinking on. And it's not something that comes to light very easily. And so that's really where we want to try to, or at least where I really try to get people to focus.
It's like, what's next?
What's next?
It's that goal setting again.
Yes.
That we keep coming back to.
Yes.
Yes.
What's next?
So we are going to run through some of these hot items or hot
Okay.
kind of trends, what is in and what is out for 2026. Starting with, we just got a question from Carla. Is the pink gelatin trick a gimmick? Oh, we have thoughts.
Ooh.
You can go first,
Teresa.
Teresa.
They're arguing over who's going to answer it. I like it.
Listen closely, Carla. She has an answer for you.
I believe that there are other things we should be thinking on other than pink gelatin.
Okay. All right.
I'm trying to think of how to word this not nicely, but like in a cohesive way on a live stream. That I really think that when we're talking about a lot of these gimmicks, such as pink gelatin, that these are the quick fix answers that we love, but aren't usually the right answer. Most of the time, there's no harm. Every now and then we do see some harm, but 90% of the time, there's no harm, which is why it ends up being on everyone's feeds or a trend or such. But is it the right answer? Is it really going to get you what you want and sustain?
It's the concern for not having long-term benefits. So very short-term benefits. And if that's what let's you're just like, I'm going on a trip. I need, sure.
Right.
We're not recommending that, but that if you have that mindset, absolutely. But if you're like, I want to make a change for my life, or I have a chronic disease that I am trying to actually minimize the medication burden that I'm on. That's not the answer.
Right. Yeah, it's not they're quick changes. But oftentimes what I find is it's really not the change or the answer to the change rather that people really want. And so there's usually something better out there, or the answer that nobody really likes. It is what it is, and we can't make the change,
yeah.
right?
Okay.
And that is hard to hear.
It is.
It really, and it's honestly, I have a hard time saying it.
I do.
You?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Someone's like,
hate
I think
telling
I have
people.
to go. Like, I'll use example. My kidneys aren't working anymore, and I'm like, yes. Like those are hard, but we don't have a quick fix for that,
Mhm.
And those are the hard conversations that we do have to have.
Mhm.
So I think your answers will be similar to these next 4. But so
You never know. We might
But bring it
surprise
on.
you.
Yeah.
sure.
Bring them on.
Red light therapy masks.
Ooh.
Okay, so those are so yeah. So I will say yes and no.
Huh, I love
Good
that
answer.
answer.
Yes.
I think
We
that
like
that's
that.
there. Okay.
So I think this one, so there are proven benefits to it. It
Mhm.
actually does help. The light therapy does. However, I think that it does not happen as quickly.
Correct.
And so that's the no part. So once again, you get this off of TikTok. You're like, oh my gosh, the girlies on TikTok.
The girlies have 'em.
Girlies on
They
TikTok.
do.
And then they show you some like time lapse video, but they didn't tell you that this didn't happen in 30 days. This really actually
Yeah.
took them a whole year of
Right.
editing.
Yep.
with ChatGPT, with that help to show that happened. So
Yeah.
so yes and no. I actually think it can work. I think it's not going to be a quick fix.
Yeah, I completely agree. It is actually a very regimented thing if you want to see results. You
Mhm.
and from my understanding, I do not have a red light
I do not.
mask, but from my understanding, there are instructions on these masks on how to use them for what you want to use them for, wrinkles or pigmentation,
Mhm.
whatever it may be. But you have to do it in that regimen, and you have to do it for an extended period of time. But the other thing that I usually caution people on is there are some risks with it. So
Mhm.
darker complexion, right? It
Mhm.
can actually change.
Hypopigmentation.
Yes, it can
Mhm.
actually change some of the pigmentation in the skin. So be a little extra cautious if you have a darker complexion because that may not be the right. And people who are on medications who make them sun sensitive,
Mm.
be cautious.
Yes.
So if you are on a lot of medications, you might want to
To
ask your
check
doctor,
which
first.
ones, because it can be
Yep.
common things like blood pressure medications that you have
Correct.
no idea. Like, oh, I didn't know this was a risk factor for
Right.
this.
Some antibiotics.
Yes.
And then it's too late and your
Yeah,
face is,
Then it's
yeah.
right, and then it's too late, and then it's much harder to revert back.
Sure.
And even certain other disease states like lupus makes you more sun sensitive as well. So there are some autoimmune pathologies that might make these masks a little more risk than the average person. But overall,
I
red
think
light
it's-
masks have
It gets a check.
it does.
All right.
Okay.
I can do that.
Check.
That
Jason,
works.
hit us
Works.
with the next one, Jason.
What do you think about vibration plates?
He's vibrating while he
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Gives you a little buzz.
Thanks.
It does. So vibration plates. I have some people who love their vibration plates, and I have pros and cons about them.
Yeah.
For the most part, there's no
They're
harm. They are
harmless.
harmless,
Yeah.
but please be careful if you have balance problems, right? Because the shaking, the vibration can
have
really offset your
something. Yes.
equilibrium. And I've seen a couple falls afterwards from this. So if you have like vertigo, if you're 85 and you're standing on a
May not be the
plate that's
best.
a little elevated, right? There's some risks in that
Yeah.
regard.
And it actually, but those are also the same benefits though,
They
because it
are.
actually can help with stability. So it's almost like an over-the-counter stability helper without going to physical therapy.
Yeah.
But once again, in the right situation.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it does improve circulation. So when we are talking about like lymphedema or swelling and stuff, it does help with some of that. But we got to make sure that we're
Yeah.
doing the right thing too, because if you're swelling and getting a vibration plate, that's not the right answer.
Mm.
Because you really need to let somebody know why
That
you're
you're
swelling, so we
yeah.
can find out why you're swelling. So there are some little pros and cons there.
Okay.
But it gets a
Check minus?
check minus.
Check minus.
Check minus.
I like
Okay.
We're going
I
to
like
rate
it.
these now.
I like that.
System on the
Yeah.
fly.
Hey, this is good.
They're
This is
getting
good.
rated.
All right. Sleep and fitness trackers, the watches, the rings. We won't name brands, but just generally.
Yeah. So they're all about the same.
Mhm.
Let's like
I agree.
let's break out none of them are more superior, maybe superior in cost,
Right?
but not
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're not bad. I think that once again, we talked a lot in the first half about habit building. So I think it is something good that you can use to habit build. So am I sleeping well enough? Like maybe I am stressed. Like it monitors that. Some of them have like heart rate monitoring capabilities. And so I don't think they're all bad.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think there has some uses.
But I like that you mentioned sleep because I think actually that's where it gives the best benefit because our heart rate varies throughout the day. Our blood pressure is supposed to vary throughout the day. But when we're talking, and we already talked about 10,000 steps, right? So the ones that track our steps and things, but sleep, they can actually be very helpful in sleep habits and really getting you to focus on your own sleep habits and trying to build the better sleeps.
Yeah. And I think with that, I will say I always say this too, it does not replace going to your doctor.
Not.
Because if you do start seeing like, man, I have fragmented sleep, something's wrong. That's when you say, hey, my watch showed me this.
Right.
But it's good data. Now you're
It is.
bringing data to us and we're like, great, we love this because we're data people.
Yeah, and I've had people bring in, look, my sleep's very fragmented, and then it also shows that my pulse ox went down or something like that. Well, now we're identifying a possible sleep apnea situation. So yes, I do think that they have benefits, and I would also give it a check minus. They've got a lot more.
All right.
What if you're a chronically bad sleeper? Yeah. And you get that stress and that cortisol from looking at the sleep tracker. I mean, that feels like it's
not
a
for you.
feedback. It's got a
Yes.
feedback pattern going on here.
If you get stressed looking at your electronic
Device.
yes, it's not for you.
Not the way to go.
No more, Jason.
Yeah,
Let
that's
it
the
go.
way. Let it
No
go.
more.
Let it go. Mouth tape.
Ah,
Oh,
Can I-
Oh,
whoa. That was a strong
Go for it.
so can I give something like a negative check? Like,
Yeah,
what is
yes,
that?
yes.
Okay.
This-
Yes,
Yeah.
I don't like it.
I don't
So,
either.
I think it's dangerous. I think it's dangerous. One, because you're covering your mouth and forcing yourself to, I mean, if you really have sleep apnea, let's think about that. Like now you're like losing oxygen and you're forcing that in a forced state, which is not safe. It is just, I can't say anymore. It's not safe.
I
okay.
don't like them.
I don't.
Check minus. That's all we need to say. No more mouth tape.
Just a minus.
Flat out minus, check, yeah.
Yeah, we're not checking it.
Just minus.
So it's not proven to actually work. Like there's not benefits. It's not, you're not helping yourself by doing that.
You really aren't. Yeah, and I agree.
If you
don't
still
like them.
should actually get checked out to really see if you have an apnea or what's going on. Like, do you have an obstruction? Is that like going to an ear, nose, and throat doctor versus going to a sleep medicine? Like, what's actually truly happening? You can't reverse a anatomic structural issue that's causing you to actually not breathe correctly at night.
Got it. All right. Before we let you go, regardless of what you can afford, regardless of what your New Year's resolutions are, what is some 3 things for both of you everyone should be doing day to day to thrive in 2026?
My favorite 3 things that I talk to everyone about. You want to live well, you need to eat well, you need to sleep well, and you need to exercise routinely. Those 3 things are the key and actually the overlying theme that we've talked to and about all day. You do need to do those 3 things to live well, to live the best life that you can live. And it's different for everyone how that works, how that fits in. But if something is off in any one of those categories, if we're indulging in DoorDash too much, if we're not sleeping the 6 to 8 hours, if we're not routinely exercising, you're not going to feel well. And it's going to make it challenging to get through any resolution that you get through.
And so mine will just be, I think, 3 things that embody one another and then goes to your whole body. So mind, body, and spirit. So once again, it's kind of like building the habits. What's most important to you? Do you actually have the cognitive load or the mental health to actually deal with whatever you're taking on for the year? And then, spirit, like, are you connected with just your family, whatever your religious beliefs are? Like, who connects you to what you're doing? And I think that just makes the person, because I think sometimes we try to use outside forces, but we have to actually look inside.
Theresa and Bridget, thank you so much for spending this half hour with us. I think we touched on
A lot.
I think every topic that people are asking about in terms of thriving, and we will continue to keep the comments open. That way, if people are watch this after the live ends, listen to the audio version of this podcast, and then want to submit questions, we'll circle back with you and chat with people in the comments there. Thank you
Absolutely.
both so much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for having us.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
And thank you all for watching this live episode of For the Love of Health. You can check out all of the episodes over the past few seasons at podcasts.christianacare.org.
You can, of course, follow For the Love of Health on your favorite social media platform. Just search Christiana Care on the platform of your choice.
We release these episodes every other Thursday, so put us on your calendar, and thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.